Welcome back, boys and girls. It's your main math man, Miss Shank, coming to you live from Alameda International High School. And in this video, we're going to be working on that circles assignment 3-1. And on the front, we're going to be finding the circumference for each of these circles. And make sure you can show your work in each step and some reminders for you again. So problems 1 through 5, we'll find the circumference. And then on the back, we'll do something different. Some reminders for you, and make sure you can put your name for yourself. But it says this, so it has, let's say we have a circle. Again, make sure you're saying that point in the center is called center, or it's directly in the middle. The line that goes across from edge to edge through that circle is going to be called the diameter, which is D, so D equals diameter. And then we're going to say that from the point in the center to the edge, again, only going from the edge to the center is going to be R, which is the radius. So again, make sure you can have those ideas in there. Also too, some formulas to remember. We have circumference is going to be pi times the diameter, or you could say circumference is equal to 2 times pi times the radius. So again, make sure you can use either or depending on your problem. So number 1, make sure you can follow these steps. So first we label our radius and diameter, then we find our formula, substitute, solve, and circle. All right. So again, in this number 1, it's given our radius. Again, notice how it's only halfway across. So we say our radius is 14, which means our diameter is 2 times that. So we have 28. Again, either one works. So I'm gonna say, let's have our formula. So I have C equals, let's do, I guess I have 2 of each. So we'll do the one with radius. So I have C equals 2 times pi times the radius. I substitute in my values. Make sure you can say, all right, pi is going to be 3.14. Keep it simple for yourself. So I'm going to have, use parentheses to show multiplication, excuse me. I have 3.14. I have our radius as 14. Make sure you can multiply it out. So I can have it like this. I have 2, 3.14, and 14. And so we're going to say we solve, so we have 87.92. Make sure you can circle your answer with the units. So we'd say this is inches and circle it. Notice how we're saying it's only to the first power since we're talking about circumference. In number 2, we have our labels as radius is 4.5, our diameter is 9. Since I have radius, I'm going to say circumference equals 2 pi times radius. Substitute in my values. Circumference is equal to 2 times 3.14 times the radius, which is 4.5. So we can solve. So I have 2, 3.14, and I have 4.5. So I'm going to say it's 28.26. Make sure I can put my units, which is meters, and I circled my answer. It's getting real simple. Take it step by step for yourself. In number 3, we have a line that goes from edge to edge through the center. So we're going to say this is going to be our diameter. So we have 16.8 is going to be our diameter. Half of that would be the radius. I'm just going to leave it as diameter for right now, so that way it's not as difficult. So I'm going to say circumference is equal to pi times the diameter. Real simple. Circumference, substitute in our values. So I have 3.14 times 16.8. Make sure you multiply. Again, circumference, super simple, but you need to make sure that you're multiplying carefully. And so I can say I have 52.752. Again, for right now, if it goes more than 2 decimal places, that's okay. Just make sure you can write out your answer. make sure we can circle our answer with units. So we're going to say this is centimeters and circle it. So I have 52.752 centimeters. In number 4, label our circle. So we have 20 yards as our diameter. So we can use this formula. So I have circumference, I have pi, make sure I don't run out. All right. Pi times the diameter, substitute in our values. So I have circumference is equal to 3.14 times 20, since that's our diameter. Plug in those values. So we have circumference is equal to 62.8, and we're going to say yards for our answer and circle it. And then lastly, a little bit trickier one, but it gives us a statement. It says, given a circle with an area of 121 pi. So what does that tell us? Well, we know that the area is equal to pi times the radius squared. And so how can we break this apart? Well, it says radius squared. So that means that it's talking about this value is the radius squared. So if r squared is 121, what would the radius be? Well, we can always take the square root. So I'm going to say second, hit that squared button to get the second operation, which is the square root. And the square root of 121 is 11. So we're going to say our radius is 11, which means the diameter is 22. Still going to find the circumference, so make sure you can still find the circumference. Again, it gave you the area, but we want to find the circumference. Again, you can use either or. I like to use that simple one, so I have, let's have circumference equals pi times the diameter, which is d. Substitute in our values, so we have 3.14 times 22. Make sure you can solve for yourself. So 3.14 times 22. Double check, make sure it's on the screen. Yep, okay. And hit enter. So I have 69.08. And I would have units. Since it doesn't have any units, that's okay. We just put units to the first power and we're good. So we have C equals 69.08. So on that front side, real simple. Be sure to ask questions if you have any. All we're doing is finding a circumference. On the back, however, make sure you can read for yourself, put your name at the top. We're gonna say for problems 6 through number 10, find the area. So we're finding area. That means the shaded amount in the middle. For each circle, show each step in the workspace provided. So again, make sure you're saying, okay, the formula for that is gonna be as follows. We have area equals pi times the radius squared. Again, make sure you can say, if you're given diameter, make sure you can take diameter divided by 2 to equal the radius. So again, radius is going to be diameter divided by 2. All right. So let's have it like this. In number 6, it has our radius as 14. And so we're finding the area. So we have area equals pi times the radius squared. Substitute in our values for our variables. So we have 3.14, and then we have 14 squared. Make sure you can type it in. So I have 3.14. Use parentheses to show multiplication. Again, make sure you're hitting that exponent button so that squared is there. You can also do this. If you want to, you can hit the power button or exponent button. Is that little arrow right here? You can say exponent. Notice how the cursor goes up to the exponent button or the superscript, and we can say 2. Again, either way would work, but just make sure you are very careful with it. So again, notice how it looks exactly as I typed it in. I hit enter and I get my answer. So I have 615.44. Make sure I circle my answer with the units. Also too, we're saying area is going to be units to the second power. So when we circle our answer, make sure it's units to the second power. Again, a way to remember that is we had a dimension radius to the second power, so that means our answer has to be to the second power. All right, moving on to number 7. It gives us radius again, so we have radius is going to be 4.5. We have our formula, area equals pi times the radius squared. Substitute it in, we have 3.14 times 4.5 squared. Type it into your calculator exactly as it looks, 4.5 squared. And so we can say, all right, area is going to be equal to 63.585, and we're going to say meters squared. For number 8, it gives us our diameter. So we're going to say diameter is 16.8. However, we need radius. So you have to use, so make sure you're saying we must use radius. So make sure you're using that radius for yourself. Half of, let me do it in the calculator just to be sure, 16.8 divided by 2. So we're going to say our radius is going to be 8.4. Again, we use that for this formula, pi times the radius squared. And so we have area is going to be 3.14 times 8.4 squared. Make sure you can multiply it carefully, 3.14, multiply it out. And so we're going to say it's going to be 221.5584. And we're going to say units, so centimeters to the second power. That's going to be our area. In number 9, still in the picture, excellent. Scoot it down just a little bit, not too far. Oh man, okay. In number 9, it gives us diameter again, so we're going to say our diameter is 20. Half of that diameter is our radius, which is 10. So 20 divided by 2 is 10. Have our formula, area equals pi times the radius squared, and we have area is equal to 3.14 times the radius, which is 10, squared. Let me write that exponent a little bit better. Again, be careful. I see a lot of people, they'll write like this, they'll have the exponent, and then it'll kind of start moving down a little bit, and then they'll have this. So be very careful. Notice how these are different values. Again, that placement makes a huge difference, so please make sure that you're writing an exponent and not just a 2 anywhere you want. All right. So we have our area, let's type it in. We have 3.14, and we have 10 squared. So we have our area is going to be equal to 314, and we have yards squared. And then lastly, it says given a circle with a circumference of 12 pi. And so what does that tell us? Well, we remembered circumference is going to be pi times the diameter, or you could say circumference is 2 times pi times the radius. So that means this. We have 12 is going to be our diameter, and our radius is half of that, so half of 12 is 6. We have our formula, so we're still looking for area, and on this back side we're looking for area. Area is going to be equal to pi times the radius squared. We said 6 is our radius, so we have substitute in our values for our variables. And so we have 3.14 times the radius, make sure we're writing values, which is going to be 6 squared. Multiply it out, 3.14, and we have 6 squared, not that, but that. And so we have our area is going to be equal to 113.04. Make sure we have units. We can just have units to the second power. So our area for that number 10 is going to be 113.04 units squared. And be sure to ask any questions as they come through. And as always, super slam that subscribe button.